Hello, you guys, and welcome back to Mystical Visions. So, today we're doing an interesting reading because today we're taking a look at who owes you an apology and what message the higher self might have for you. And clearly, there's there's a lot going on. We have five different piles for a change today. I usually do three, but I figured a lot more people probably are owed apologies. So without much further ado, I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled your cards. For pile one, we have an amethyst. For pile two, a jade. For pile number three, we have an opalite moon. Pile four, we have a sodalite crystal. And for pile five, we have citrine. So today we're taking a look at who owes you an apology, what they've done to you, how they feel about the situation, why they did what they did, and also some advice for you moving forward in this situation. This doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic thing, although some of it might be. I don't know. I haven't looked at the piles. But as always, the timestamps are in the video description. If this resonates and if this reading is helpful, then please remember to like and subscribe. Comment below which pile you picked and how this resonates for you. And yeah, without much further ado, I'll give you guys some time with these piles and I'll see you at your reading. Pile number one, hello. So if you guys picked the amethyst crystal, then this is your reading. Welcome. So I've gone ahead and laid out your cards. These cards here will tell us who this person is and what they did. And you can use these cards here for confirmation on whether you've picked the right pile or just to understand who's coming in with an apology if you don't really have someone in mind. These cards will tell you why they did what they did and their perspective on the final outcome, on how things turned out. And finally, we'll take a look at some advice from either their higher self or your spirit guides about how you can move forward with this situation. So without much further ado, let's dive in. Who is this person that wants to come in with an apology for pile one? We have the Wheel of Fortune. And that is clarified by the Four of Wands. Okay, interesting. And for the archetype here, we have the Vow. Ooh, there we go. Let me put this maybe up here. Maybe just between the two. Okay. Interesting. I'm going to read the Vow from the book. This is card 54. When the vow is spoken, the air shifts, karmic ties are formed, and destiny tilts on its axis. Our words and intentions, that's a funny slip up, have immense power. There is a reason the great mythic stories of our past often include the recitation of oaths and the mixing of drops of blood as a mark of union. The tricky part is that reciting the vow, no matter how casually, activates the eternal and unseen forces of the world. When light, bearing witness to the shift towards destiny. When dark, unconscious vows, unkept promises, messy karmic ties. Okay. So this could be someone that you are or have been married to, or you do and or did have some sort of contract with them. Because with the Wheel of Fortune, it's kind of giving me this sense of like a whirlwind connection, like they were in your life suddenly and then, oh, sorry guys. I'm trying to move around so I can be comfy. Yeah, okay, so there's this sort of whirlwind energy here. Because the Wheel of Fortune can turn at a moment's notice, and it almost feels like you met this person by chance. It's like you didn't plan to see them or plan to come across them. They just kind of ended up in your life and brought celebration. And the reason I said marriage or commitment is because there's Four of Wands here, usually associated with weddings, the vow usually associated with weddings. This could be an ex-husband, ex-wife, ex-spouse. But so, okay, so if that's something, or alternative, a business partner or someone that you had some sort of contract with that they may not have fulfilled, but it was it was such a quick connection that you didn't really have the time to gradually build up trust or build up faith or, goodwill, that kind of thing. So let's see what they did to my pile one. We have Temperance, clarified by the Knight of Swords in reverse. And we have Death. Oh, I might have to move these. And that is clarified by the Four of Swords. Interesting. So lots of major arcana here. The entire top row is all major arcana. Temperance and the Knight of Swords in reverse. Temperance is all about balance, but dynamic balance. And the Knight of Swords is someone who rushes in at really quick speed. They follow their instincts. They follow the ideas they have. So with these two cards here, it kind of feels like they may have upset your balance by not moving forward with you. Generally, when we think of balance, we think of stasis, of not moving forward, of just staying where you are. But the Temperance understanding of balance is one that keeps moving. It's like a give and take, like an equal participation. But with the Knight of Swords in reverse, it feels like this person may not have done their end of the job, and it may have been like a one-sided connection of some sort, where you were the one doing all the work and they didn't pull their own weight. And with Death and the Four of Swords, it almost feels like whatever happened, this ending has brought you a lot of peace. So this connection being taken out of your life has brought you a lot of rest and relaxation. This really does it. So if we stick to the marriage analogy, the spouse analogy, it could be that you were the one doing all the emotional labor in the connection, doing all the important lovey-dovey stuff, or just, remembering anniversaries, buying them nice things, spending your time with them, making sure you went out on dates and planning and organizing all the dates, doing all the paperwork, doing this, doing that, cleaning, cooking, earning the money, doing all of it. That's a very one-sided connection if they were not also bringing the same exact amount of effort to the table, right? So if that sort of connection is taken out of your life, it can okay, this sounds horrible, but it can almost feel like a relief where, yeah, initially you're heartbroken and devastated because, there's a comfortable connection. It's something I'm familiar with. But eventually it gets to a point where you're almost like, well, that's, at least I don't have to do all the work anymore, So if that's the kind of connection you resonate with, but what did they do? Yeah, I think they just didn't show up for you. They didn't hold up their end of the bargain. If this is a business connection, it could be something like you fulfilled your part of the contract and then they didn't. And there was like a communication breakdown in that way. Something like this. So let's take a look at why they did what they did. We have the Three of Swords. Clarified by the King of Swords in reverse. That is interesting. I'll just put these guys to the side for the moment. Okay, Three of Swords, betrayal. They may have gone behind your back. They may have trigger warning, it could be like an infidelity, wow, can't even speak, infidelity situation. If that resonates with you. And that could also translate to sort of going behind your back, making side deals with other people. This is like a business connection, kind of cutting you out of the deal. Something like this. Because with the King of Swords in reverse, it feels like there is definitely some sort of nefarious behavior here where it's like they're not honest about something. And they didn't act from their higher state of being. So they didn't act in a divine way. That's a strange thing to say, but do you know what I mean? Like they definitely acted out of either greed or jealousy or gluttony, I guess. I don't, like, whatever the sins are. They definitely didn't act out of a higher state of consciousness. We have the Hermit, and that's clarified by Strength in reverse. Yeah, that's so interesting. Strength is 8 and Hermit is 9. It's like they're taking several steps back in their evolution as a person due to, doing this action has taken them several steps back in their evolution as a soul. But with the Hermit and the Strength in reverse, it definitely feels like they acted from a... This isn't the usual understanding of the Hermit card, but the message I'm getting is they acted from a self-serving position. And it feels like it was a weakness. One where they didn't want to do the hard work. And so they chose an easy way out because the only person they really cared about was themselves. Now, the Hermit usually stands for introspection, reflection, doing all the shadow work that will help you be a better, more evolved soul. But for it to be clarified by the Strength in reverse, it's like they had the power to either do really well or do really badly, and they chose the really badly side of things. Like they absolutely misused their power in the situation. But why did they do it? Mostly because they were greedy, honestly. It truly does feel like it was a moment of wanting more than they deserved and making a choice that would intentionally, knowing that it would hurt you, because they fully had the knowledge, they just chose to ignore it and have their way anyway. And so I think the apology here really is about the betrayal, because it feels like you may not even really care that they did what they did. To you now, it just feels like a bullet dodged. It feels like, oh, well, it was, honestly, it was hurtful at the time, but at least now I don't have to deal with it anymore. And this was a great reason for me to be able to walk away from this relationship. I really am just getting like a marriage breaking down, or like a long-term partnership of some sort breaking down. But again, it could very well apply to a business connection where maybe you've been business partners for a while and then someone went behind your back to make a little extra money on the side and cut you out, that kind of thing. But whatever it is, the apology that they carry, it almost does feel like guilt, because with the strength in reverse, it's like they feel weak. They feel like they don't even have the strength to face you, to make an apology about this. It's like they don't, it's cowardice. That's what it is. It is cowardice. And it and they very well recognize it. And so the higher self is coming in to say, like, hey, look, you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything to deserve this sort of treatment. This was purely a moment of almost, what's it called? Regression as a soul. It was a moment of regression in terms of their journey in this lifetime. And they will likely have to do like really, really good things to sort of progress in their journey, or just have like several other lifetimes moving forward to make up for this lapse. But how do they feel? What's their perspective on the outcome of the situation? We have the Three of Coins and the Page of Swords. Yeah. I feel like their human self doesn't even grasp the gravity of what they've done, because with the Three of Coins and the Page of Swords, the Page of Swords is definitely immaturity in the intellect, and the Three of Coins is sort of collaboration. And what I'm getting here is, to their human self, they don't even realize the gravity of what they've done, because they think that you and them collaborated on an ideal outcome for the both of you, and that you communicated well through it. Whereas for you, it almost feels like clearly you did all the communicating and you did the walking away, and it doesn't even strike them as, hey, I've been left. Hey, I've been walked away from. Like, to them, it feels like, okay, fine. Like, that was just the logical next step. You may not have told them that you've learned about their betrayal, or even if you have, they don't even register it as you being hurt. It feels like this was a very emotionally immature person. This is someone who doesn't even have any self-awareness for how their actions affect other people, at least in an emotional sense. Like, if you physically had an injury, they might respond, but emotionally they're not even aware of what they're doing to you, or what they did to you. So for whatever reason, while their higher self understands that this has changed the paradigm for them, and that it's made them, I don't want to say a worse person, because like good and bad are relative terms that we created on this planet, but it's kind of made them take 10 steps back in their spiritual evolution as a soul. But their human self is so oblivious to all of it that they don't even recognize that that's what's happened. To them, this is a perfectly acceptable ending to this connection, which can be frustrating. Like, I've just met you guys. Like, I've just met your situation, and I'm even upset that they don't recognize how much they've hurt you. So I can't imagine how frustrating it must be for you. But, you know, it just means that it's time to let go of the expectation for an apology, because I don't know if there will actually be like an apology in the physical realm where they come and say sorry or whatever. I mean, it might eventually happen if they grow up enough, but for the moment, it almost feels like they just haven't even registered what they've done to you. Um, so I'm sure it will eventually catch up to them. But let's see what the advice for you is, because what's important here is for you to put yourself first, because you've put this person first for a very long time. So what's the advice here? We have break the chain, ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. Interesting. Is this a pattern of relationships that have happened in your family before? Are these connections you've seen growing up where one person does all the emotional labor and the other person just gets to enjoy the fruit of it all? Because it could be that the reason you attracted this sort of relationship is because that's what's familiar and comfortable. Well, not comfortable, but comfort zone, you know? And now your job, having been through a connection like this, is to move forward and make sure that you're a lot more aware the next time you get into a relationship, even if it's not for a long, long time from now. That's completely fine. But whenever you do, or any relationship you get into moving forward, even if it is just platonic or familial or whatever, make sure that you remember the lessons from here. And that's how you break that ancestral cycle, that ancestral pattern, like it says here. That's how you rewrite the future. Okay? And finally, advice from an animal spirit card. We have White Raven Spirit, trust in the magic. Beautiful. That's card number 66. I'll keep it here just so we're balanced. And I'm going to read this from the book. So, number 66. There we go. Nothing in the universe is random, for the intricate web of co-creation weaves together all events and has done so since the beginning of time. Coincidences have meaning, and White Raven Spirit appears to remind you to pay attention to these synchronicities so that you might recognize patterns. Even the winds dance in a pattern, participating in the magic of Spirit's plan for all. Align with the light and you will start to recognize that all is working together harmoniously in ways the eye can't always see and the mind can't always comprehend. Now is the time to trust in the magic of the world that is everywhere and in all things. Pay attention to how things come together as if by magic, and you will see the hand of Great Spirit arranging things in your favor. Honestly, it also truly feels like whoever this person was dead weight, and now that they're out of your life, the universe is able to align things for you that you would never have had the opportunity to do while this person was still in your life. It's like them leaving away has created a massive amount of space for wonderful things to come your way. So that's your reading for today, pile one. Very, very interesting. Whoever this person is, let me tell you now, absolutely their loss. You're a legend and you're going to keep on shining and you're going to grow and evolve as a person while they are busy doing their ridiculous things that will eventually catch up to them. All right. So that's your reading, part one. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your time and energy with me and letting me do this reading for you. I truly hope it brought you some support and clarity. If it did, please remember to like and subscribe. Comment below how this resonated for you. If you like what I do, I have a link to my PayPal tip jar in the video description, and your support is always appreciated. You can stick around to the outro for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye! Pile number 2, hello. So if you guys chose the jade crystal, then this is your reading. So I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled your cards. These cards here will tell us who this person is, what role they occupy in your life, and what they did to you. So you can use this as confirmation of whether this person is the one you have in mind. Alternately, if you don't really have a person in mind, then this could be someone coming in with an apology, and this will help you figure out who it is. With these cards here, we'll take a look at why they did what they did and how they feel that Earth self feels from an Earth perspective about how things panned out between you. And then finally, we'll take a look at some advice. So this is from the higher self, this is from the Earth self. Okay, so without much further ado, let's dive right in. So who is this person? We have the Four of Swords in reverse. And that, I'll just move this as far as I can. Clarified by, okay, the Five of Wands. All right. This person. Okay, wow. The Eternal Child. And I'm just going to keep in mind that that was in reverse. Four of Swords in reverse, Five of Wands, the Eternal Child. This is someone who, they destroyed your peace. They brought so much conflict into your life, and you haven't known a moment of rest every time you've been around them. It's interesting, the Eternal Child, I will read it from the book, but I believe it talks about a naivete and innocence, a childlike spirit, but it also talks about immaturity of being basically an annoying little kid, and it feels like this person may have had that sort of energy of being childish and really annoying and really irritating and just not knowing how to read the room, not knowing boundaries, stuff like that. And the bottom line is they took your peace. I am going to read it from the book though. So this is number 4. If that means anything, it could be their birthday. The Eternal Child. The Eternal Child is connected to the timeless, ageless, and infinite aspects of life. It is radiant and fearless and seeks joy above all else and at any cost. It struggles being bound to an aging body with physical limitations in a world that demands attention to detail and logistics. The Eternal Child, naturally popular, perhaps even famous, they glimmer. It reminds us of what is possible, what is magical about this precious life. When light, joyful, playful, accepts all magic. When dark, addicted, selfish, adrift, burns out. Yeah. It does feel like this person may have sort of wanted a lot of attention in order to feel good about themselves, and it's just exhausting to cater to them. It's like having a toddler in a grown-up's body, where it's like they have all the needs and desires that a toddler would have, but they also have the power that a grown adult has, and that's a lethal combination, let me tell you. So yeah, this is definitely someone who wanted all eyes on them. They're very selfish, very self-centered, and it may have been sort of up to you to cater to their whims and fancies. Honestly, I'm kind of getting like immature adult and like a empath narcissist dynamic, which is a trope I hate, but it is a trope that happens. But this could be someone that you were sort of forced to be around. It could be an annoying coworker or extended family, something like this, where it doesn't feel like a partner. I don't know. That's just not the vibe I'm getting, but it could have been. But if it wasn't a connection that was very deep or long lived. But whoever this is, their higher self owes you an apology. So let's see what they did to you. To start, we have the King of Coins in reverse. Okay, yeah. Clarified by the Three of Cups, of course. And we have the Hierophant in reverse. Clarified by the Eight of Swords in reverse. Okay, so it's like a bittersweet sort of connection, you guys. Because with the King of Coins in reverse and the Three of Cups, they did something that took away your financial security, but they just did it for laughs. The King of Coins is someone who has built an empire, who is stable, who is secure in their money, in their abundance. They're quite an abundance figure. And the Three of Cups is this celebration, and usually it's like, oh, gathering, with your friends to celebrate something nice that's happened. But in this context, it's sort of giving me someone who is just frivolous, don't have any regards for other people's property, doesn't have any regards for other people's security, stability, doesn't care that their actions are reckless. That's the word I was getting earlier. It's like they did something to take away your sense of security, especially in terms of finance. So if this is a co-worker situation, for instance, they could have done something that jeopardizes your income or your standing in the business that you worked in with them. Something like that. Something just so stupid and childish and selfish. But with the Hierophant in reverse and the Eight of Swords in reverse, I am also getting that this person was instrumental in getting you to, one, step out of your comfort zone, but two, reject tradition in some way. It's like you may have been forced to either walk away from that job or situation, the family situation, whatever it is. And as a result, you may have been put onto a very unconventional path, one that no one else in your surroundings would have taken. You may have gotten no contact with a lot of people. You may have moved really far away, so you never have to deal with this person again. But whatever it is, it does feel like this person truly did jeopardize your livelihood. Yeah, that's the word. Your livelihood somehow. That's so interesting. But it was definitely like out of something so stupid. Like, it's not. So say for instance they send out a dumb AI generated video of your CEO saying something stupid, and they tag you in it, and now suddenly you seem like you're complicit in this. Right? So something like this. It's something so stupid that they didn't even consider would harm someone or make someone's life miserable. They just did it for laughs. They just did it to have a moment of power, I guess, over the situation. But in doing so, they sort of kicked you out of this straight and narrow path and put you onto the proverbial road less traveled. And I feel like that was good for you. It shouldn't have happened in such a difficult way, is all. Oh, my candle is burning low. I'm going to need a new one in a sec. So let's take a look at why this person did what they did. Already, can I just tell you, this person is not my cup of tea, part two. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't even care if they were not meaning to do it. It's just a frustrating energy. We have the Three of Wands, clarified by the Emperor in reverse. What's interesting is the imagery here with the Three of Wands is someone trying to climb a ladder, and with the Emperor in reverse, it feels like this person is not a natural leader. They may not naturally be the kind to command respect, to command attention, and so they have to resort to all these like sneaky ways of doing it, of trying to sort of force a laugh, like an uncomfortable laugh, out of people, or just make people so freaked out that they get noticed or something like this. And that's definitely like a heavy insecurity for them, because you might be someone who's a natural leader. You might be someone that people gravitate towards the second you walk into a room. Like, you don't need to call for people's attention. You just get it. And this person doesn't seem like they do. And so this climbing a ladder, this is specifically a ladder made of bones. So it feels like they will climb over anyone and everyone that's in their way in order to get a high, like a rush of power. And it feels like you were one of the people that they tried to trample over in their pursuit of success or fame or whatever. But with the Emperor in reverse, there is a deep insecurity about them knowing that they are not good enough within themselves, or them feeling like they are not good enough within themselves. Like, they have to do these things, they have to force people to give them attention, otherwise they won't naturally get it. So it's definitely, why did they do what they did to you, is a hella insecurity. We have the 8 of Coins, clarified by the 10 of Wands in reverse. Yeah. Okay. Because they know that it's a lot of work to be who you are. And truly, all they want is to be in your place, to be in your position. They want what you have. But they also recognize that it's taken a lot of work for you to get where you are. And that is a burden that they know they could never bear. Like, they physically, they're not capable of going through what you went through. And they are not capable of being good at being you, if that makes sense. Like, you might be someone who has spent several decades in your field, building up a list of contacts, building up a skill set, building up a portfolio, and they want your highlights reel, but they don't want to spend those years building up, right? So to them, it's like, well, the easiest way I can get it is to just take it from them. And in doing so, they're doing you both a disservice, because they will eventually learn that they will never be strong enough to carry these 10 wands the way you do. It's like, your life is not easy, but you have the courage and the determination and the focus and the strength to do what you do day after day. And that hasn't just happened overnight. It's not like a magical, talent. That's resilience you have built year after year after year of dealing with people like this person. And so you're in a position now where you are unflappable. And because you're not even in this person's path, you're just doing your own thing. I'm almost getting the feeling that they can't compute how you walked away from this and like survived this situation. Like, it doesn't make sense to them. But their higher self just wants to say that the reason they did what they did was purely out of insecurity, purely out of knowing that they will never be you, but they desperately want to. So let's see how that human self, how that earth self sees the ending of the situation. Like, what is their perspective on how things turned out? We have the Queen of Cups in reverse. Okay. There we go. Clarified by the Tower. Oh, pile 2. They are in a meltdown. A meltdown. Like, I feel like if you haven't already, you're gonna hear how their life is going all topsy-turvy. Like, they are falling apart and they're an emotional wreck. And I don't even think they associate this with you. It almost feels like they might want you to come and fix it for them, because they don't know how to handle the stuff that you handle like a pro. Like, you don't even flinch when these things come up, and to them it's brand new. With the Queen of Cups in reverse, it feels like there is so much inside of them that they are being forced to let out. This is usually about emotions, and it feels like their avoidance of the inner work is finally catching up to them. And now they're having like emotional meltdowns constantly. And with the Tower as well, their life has uprooted. This is going to be a horrible thing to say, but this is so satisfying. This is so satisfying to see, Val, too. Oh my gosh. Okay, where they are today probably has nothing to do with you, does not even make a difference to your existence. Now, never did. But it almost feels like, Schadenfreude, it's like the joy of watching someone pay for what they've done. It could be that they almost resent you because they are now going through what they put you through. And so it's like they look back and they're like, how could this person have just walked away from the situation and I have to sit here and deal with the outcome? Well, you could have been a good person and we never have got to this point. But yeah, how does their human self see how this situation turned out? Oh, they're going through it. They are going through it. How to? It almost feels like you definitely got the better end of the potential outcomes and they got like the worst of it. It may have taken some time to get here, and it may have taken a lot of healing from you for you to not be quite as emotionally invested in this person anymore. But they are finally reaping the rewards. They're finally harvesting those delicious, delicious seeds that they sowed with you. But no, whatever it is, they are going through it right now. And it feels like this is going to be an important turning point in their journey as a soul. And their experience with you has definitely contributed to this. So I do feel like this is a karmic situation where you were part of the many things that would eventually turn them onto their soul's path. And this is a dark night of the soul about to hit them like a dump truck. Okay, so what's the advice for you, though, in this situation moving forward? We have Unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. What did I tell you? It does feel like this may be your final lifetime with this person, because with this releasing soul patterns and this person just sort of floating away from the situation, the way you floated away from their life, it does feel like you will not encounter this soul moving forward in any of your lifetimes in the future, and you're all the better for it. But the advice is to just cherish your freedom, enjoy it. You've earned this freedom. You've earned the peace that comes from cutting this person out of your life. Okay, pal two, like don't even think about them for a moment. I know it's frustrating when you look back at all the ways in which you were mistreated. But I want you to understand right now that that was simply a karmic connection. And that was something your souls conspired to work through together before you were even born here. But you've fulfilled your end of the contract, and it's up to them now to move forward and evolve from this situation. You've done all you can. You have no notes. You've done a great job. Okay? And we have, there we go. Oh, it's my favorite card, the Scarab Beetle Spirit. Magic works through you. It's my favorite card in the entire deck, you guys. Beautiful, beautiful. So, that's the wrong book. Number 52, if that means anything to you. That could be someone's age. Anyway, Scarab beetle spirit, magic works through you. In ancient Egypt, the scarab beetle was revered, for the creative magic of scarab beetle spirit reminds us that we can bring forth something extraordinary, seemingly out of thin air. You have an ally as you fashion something new or repurpose the old, for spirit co creates with you, channeling energy through you so that you feel replenished and vitalized as you make magic with what is at hand. Miracles, opportunities, abundance, and love will appear seemingly out of nowhere as you allow spirit to work through you and magically manifest what you need. Beautiful. The time right now is so auspicious for you, Pearl 2, where you are free. You may finally feel a moment of freedom. It feels like something has shifted recently inside of you that has nothing to do, well, I mean, it may have to do with this person, but not necessarily the situation. But whatever it is, you're entering a very potent time of manifestation, of emotional highs, of joy and love and excitement and abundance. So definitely right now is the time to ask the universe for what you want, to get clear on what you want, because the universe is in a generous mood with you right now, Pal 2. Beautiful. So that's your reading for today. I hope it helped, and I hope you feel a sense of gloating as much as I do, because I don't even know your situation, but I feel amazing about how things have turned out, and I'm sure you do as well. So, yeah, that's your reading. I hope it brought you some support and clarity. If it did, please remember to like and subscribe. Comment below how this resonated for you. And yeah, thank you so, so much for being here and letting me do this reading for you and sharing your time and energy with me. I truly hope it helped. If you like what I do, I have a link to my PayPal tip jar in the video description, and your support would mean the entire world to me. And yeah, thanks so much for being here and watching. You can stick around to the outro for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Pile number 3, hello, welcome. So if you guys chose the opalite moon, then this is your reading. Today we're taking a look at who owes you an apology. And as always, I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled your cards, and there is a method to the madness right now. These cards here will tell us who this person is, what sort of role they fill in your life, and what they did to you. Now, you can use this part of the reading either as confirmation to see who this person is, if this is the person on your mind, or if you don't have a person in mind, this could be a great way to find out if someone's higher self wants to come in. These cards here will tell us why they did what they did, and this is from a higher perspective. So this is from the perspective of their higher self. And then these cards here will tell us their earth self's perspective of the outcome of this situation. So their human self, what they feel about how everything turned out with you. And then finally, we'll take a look at some advice for you moving forward from this situation. So without much further ado, let's dive in. Who is this person that owes you an apology? We have the Two of Swords. And that is clarified by the King of Wands. Okay. I see who this is. I know who this is. I've dealt with who this is. And we have the Ocean, but it was in reverse. But anyway, with the Two of Swords and the King of Wands, this is a player energy. I'm not going to lie to you. This is someone who treated you as an option as opposed to as a priority. This is someone who made you feel like you were sort of just there, like you were not really important to them, like you were just kind of taking up space in their world, and that you should be grateful for the breadcrumbs of attention that they gave you. Like, that's the kind of vibe I'm getting. I do want to bear in mind that the Ocean came out in reverse, but the Two of Swords is someone who has two options that they need to choose from, and Traditionally, it means, making a choice with your intuition, but the King of Wands is someone who is very much driven by his passions, his the things that set him on fire. And it is also the suit of, the not so respectful things, is all I'll say. So it does feel like this person may have used you and then dumped you. Um, but it's like they didn't even see the value in you. And that's so interesting that this Two of Swords has like a lot of fire going on, and the King of Wands is like the king of fire. Um, And then there's the ocean in the background as well. There's lots of synchronicities. And maybe that's what kind of drew you to this person, I think, Pal 3, is that when you first met them, you saw these synchronicities and you were like, oh, that clearly means something, right? That's a sign from the universe. And yes, it may have been, but what happens sometimes is with these signs from the universe, we kind of misinterpret them to mean this person is meant to be in our life, when in fact it could very well mean that this person is here to teach me something. Just wanted to put that out there. It's not really part of the reading, but I feel like you wanted to hear it. So this is card number 35, the ocean, if that means anything to you. The unconscious, the depths, the incomprehensible. The power of the ocean is unmatched. To step into its salty waters is to step into the unknown. By its sheer volume, the ocean represents the unconscious, all that is beyond our understanding. We cannot live within the ocean, we cannot claim it, manage it, or own it. It rejects our every attempt to dominate nature. The ego must dissolve. The saline swells work on your very cells, your fibers, your deepest underlying beliefs. When light, deeper than deep, big dreams, discovery. When dark, subsumed, drowned, polluted, unpredictable. Yeah, I feel like this, I'm very much getting like a scorpionic energy from this, but almost like an immature Scorpio energy where it's like they feel like this larger than life figure, this abyss that you want to drown in, like you want it to consume you, and you may have been very drawn in by that almost void, that vacuum, that like black hole sort of situation that was just pulling at you. And then you realize that they basically do this to everyone. They use that magnetic charm to draw people in so they can have some fun. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from this person. So what did they do to you? There we go. The Ten of Cups in reverse. Yep. And the Knight of Cups. Okay. And we have, I'm just going to lay these out before I start being judgmental. We have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, clarified by the Page of Coins. Yeah. So this, I'm going to be honest with you, Pal 3, rather. Sorry, Pal 3. If this isn't someone in your past who had sort of a player energy, then this is not your reading, because it's very clear here that this person promised you something meaningful, something important, a relationship, love, commitment, in order to get you, if you know what I mean, in order to get you in the sack, So with the Ten of Cups in reverse and the Knight of Cups, it's like you wanted this happy ending. They wanted to mess around for a bit. And they almost gave you just enough to keep you invested for a long time without really making any actual commitments. And that to me screams like player. It screams, the kind of people that are on Tinder. You know what I mean? Like the kind that you get warned about. And they may have done exactly that with you. They may have told you they were looking for something serious, told you they were looking for commitment, and they are so happy to have met you, and you're my soulmate. They may have love bombed you quite a bit, and you may have been vulnerable to it, which is completely fine. Like, everyone is vulnerable to love because that's our natural state. But it feels like they then left you high and dry. They may have just fully ghosted you, or they may have shown their true colors. They may have made it very obvious that all they want from you is, physical affection. Oh, that is so interesting that these two cards should have been the other way around. Yeah, yeah. It makes more sense like this because they gave you some investment, but not like real concrete plans for you. Um, it's like they may have taken you out on a couple dates if it benefited them, or if it was convenient to them, if they were bored or had the time, or didn't have anything else on, that sort of thing. Like, this is the kind of person who would pretend that they want something long term, and then they just use you, and then they're like, haha, I actually didn't want it at all. That's the kind of person this is. And that's kind of what they did to you. So, okay. Okay. This is so. I don't know if I should have ever done this reading, because I feel so upset on like all your behalves for all these things that these people have done to you. But also, we need to recognize that that is just part of the human experience. I'm not trying to minimize what you went through at all. It is horrifying. Like, it's happened to everyone. You have people who will promise you so many beautiful things and then use you and then leave you when they are done using you. And it is a horrible thing, but it is sort of like a rite of passage for life on earth. Sadly, it just is. And this was yours. So that's kind of what happened. So if that seems like the kind of person you've dealt with, let's go ahead and take a look at why they did what they did. So next we have the Ace of Wands in reverse, clarified by the Eight of Pentacles. This person doesn't have anything going in their life. Their life is very, very boring. I'm just going to move these to the side. Their life is very monotonous, very like unfulfilling. And I feel like this sort of behavior gives them thrills. And so their higher self wants to make it very, very clear that this is very much sort of a way for them to find some excitement again. It's like a way for them to find some sort of joy in a twisted way, where it's like, haha, I fooled you. That means I'm a smart person. That means my life is great. That means I'm better than you. And it does feel like they are like the all work and no play kind, where they probably don't, I'm gonna be honest, they probably don't make a lot of money. They work very hard. They probably don't make a lot of money. And so they kind of feel very insecure in that sense. And so they couldn't even afford a long-term commitment with you if they even wanted one. So like, I'm just going to tell you now, bullet heavily dodged. But it does feel like this is sort of their way of getting some sort of weird excitement out of a very boring life. And we have the Six of Wands in reverse. Yeah. Clarified by the Tower in reverse. Absolutely. Yeah, both of these cards, like, this is not someone who wins a lot. The Six of Wands is victory, so to have it in reverse, it's like, this is not someone who has many good things going for them. And with the Tower in reverse as well, there's a lot of fire energy going on here, but all of it is in reverse. And here, this person, I feel like they try to project this sense of, I'm so exciting, I'm so happy with where I am, I'm so magnetic and charismatic. Where deep down, it's like they have no passion. They have nothing. It feels like this person is hella burnt out. This person is extremely disillusioned by life. And they have to try so desperately to find excitement and enthusiasm in any way they can. And apparently to them, that means hurting other people. That means playing around, messing with people's emotions and making them feel things they don't want to feel, and making false promises and getting one over on people. It feels like this is the kind of person who would do this to every connection in their life, because they thrive off the drama, because their own life within themselves, their inner world, is empty. And so I think their higher self wants to come in and say, like, look, this was not personal. And it's not personal to anyone they've done this to, because it feels like they've done this to a lot of people. This is not something you did. This has nothing to do with you. This is just their earth self trying to cope with a dull existence. And I know that sounds like some like a judgmental thing to say, and I don't really mean that in a judgmental way, because boredom is horrible. It is horrible. I would not afflict my worst enemies with boredom. Why? Because it feels like your brain is sort of eating itself from the inside out, you know? And so it feels like this person is desperately trying to do anything to keep things new and exciting, and therefore they will never be fulfilled in a long-term connection, because they need that thrill of like the talking stage, the discovering things about someone that you never knew, all of that, you know, the honeymoon phase. But that does not a long-term relationship make. This person is not built for a long-term relationship, at least not right now. And their higher self is very aware of that, because that is part of their journey in this lifetime. So to them, you were a thrill for a little bit. And this sounds really harsh, but this is their perspective. You were a thrill until you became familiar, and then you weren't as exciting anymore. At least not in the sense of what they consider to be exciting, you know? And so they just left and moved on and on to the next thing, and they will just do the same thing to someone else, and then someone else, and then someone else. And the cycle continues until they realize that this excitement that they are seeking cannot come from someone else. It cannot come from the outer world. It has to come from within. And that's why the ocean is here. Like, they need to explore their own depths. But it feels like you are not the one to teach them how to. So congratulations. You've avoided that responsibility. But let's see their perspective of the outcome of this situation. We have the Queen of Swords, clarified by the Two of Pentacles. Interesting. Did you cut them off, Pile 3? It almost feels like you're the one who kind of stepped away from the situation when you realized that there was nothing here for you. Which, if you did, bravo. Well done. Because it feels like this person was juggling like at least two people at the time. And you sort of may have excused yourself from the situation. You know, you may have been like, that's not for me. I have nothing to gain here. This person does not support my growth in any way, shape, or form. I'm out. And to them, for some reason, that felt harsh or cold or manipulative, which is just stupid. But yeah, it feels like they have so much on their plate, and they like it that way because they don't want the free time to think about who they are or why they're doing what they're doing or what they are even doing. And if they feel like you saw through them, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you did, because this person is transparent. They are transparent. You can see right through them. Like, this is so, they think they've been so clever, but truly it's just sad in many ways. And I feel like they don't even stop to think about the situation with you. It's like they've moved on, but not in a healthy way. It's almost as if they've moved forward onto the next one because they don't want that moment of aloneness. You know, they don't want that feeling of, oh, I need to process this loss or this breakup, or, you know, the end of this situationship or whatever it was. It feels like they are very much in their brain about this. Like, they won't even touch their emotions, even though they will pretend to be very emotionally available, very vulnerable, you know, and whatever it takes to draw people in. They won't even go there when they're with themselves. So that's where they're at with the situation. But let's take a look at the advice for you moving forward. We have dance with life. Do something to change your energy. Beautiful. So I think the advice for you in this situation is to really just get out of here, get out of this situation, get away from this person. Like, there's really nothing here for you. There's nothing to be gained. There is only anger and resentment. And you deserve better than anger and resentment, honestly, part 3. You didn't do anything wrong, and therefore it's not up to you to grow from this situation. All you need to do is shift. And maybe next time, you know, keep an eye out for the red flags. That's all I'll say. And we have Moth Spirit in reverse, Surrender Now. It's card number 39. Interesting. I will read this one from the book. So, number 39, Moth Spirit, protection message. Moth Spirit can be intense, and honesty about your own compulsive tendencies is needed right now. It is too easy to switch from one addiction to another, distracting yourself from the discomfort of uncertainty and the thoughts and emotions that arise when you aren't single-mindedly pursuing a goal. Moth Spirit calls to you to practice moderation in all things and recognize when you think you are headed towards the light, but are really heading into a fire that will cause burnout. Now is a time to do a fearless inventory so that your addictive tendencies can be toned down and rechanneled into enthusiastic activity in moderation. So it does feel like in many ways you may have grown too attached to this person, and maybe that's why it was so hurtful when they betrayed your trust like that. So that might be the only thing to work towards, honestly, is this tendency to give everything to someone who shows you the tiniest bit of affection, because that can be an addictive feeling in many ways. And it can be very exciting for you as well to feel like someone sees you, someone notices you, even though you know it's probably out of selfish motives. It can still be very addictive. So maybe that's something to work on moving forward, is looking more objectively at how balanced the connection is. Maybe that's why this Two of Coins came out as well. Looking at what you are receiving in exchange for what you are offering to a situation. And anything beyond that, let go. Okay, so That's your reading, pile number 3. I really hope it helped. It brought you some support and clarity. If it did, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment below how this resonated for you, because I really want the tea here. But yeah, thank you so much for being here and spending some time with me and letting me read for you. I truly hope it helped. If it was truly helpful, you can always support me by checking out my PayPal tip jar. I have a link in the video description. Your support means the whole world to me, so thank you. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. You can stick around to the outro for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Pile number 4. Hello, you're my first ever pile 4, I think. Welcome. So if you guys chose this blue sodalite, then this is your reading about someone who owes you an apology and a message from their higher self and all that good stuff. So I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled your cards. These cards here will tell you who this person is and what they did. So you can either use this as confirmation for it being the person on your mind, or if you don't have anyone in mind, you can use this as a way to see who's coming through for you today. These cards here will give us the higher self's perspective on what happened, why they did what they did. And then these cards here will tell us their human self's perspective on how things turned out. And then finally, we'll take a look at some advice. And you guys actually got 1 extra animal spirit card. So I'm just saying, you're special. So without much further ado, let's dive in and take a look at who this person is. So to start, we have the 7 of Cups in reverse. And that's clarified by the Page of Wands, also in reverse. And I'm just going to move these guys as far as they can go while still being on the frame, in the frame. Oh, can't speak already. And we have the River. This is someone who didn't let you believe. This is someone who took your dreams away. It could be a parental figure. It could be someone who sort of didn't allow you to imagine, didn't allow you to look out into the world and see the infinite possibilities that lie in front of you. Because with this Page of Wands here, the page is the youngest of the core cards, so this does feel very early life. It feels like whatever this person did to you may have been when you were very, very young, which is why I'm getting sort of a parental figure. Like, you know, the kind of parents that kill your dreams because they are unrealistic. They won't even let you imagine that you could be a Teletubby when you grow up. The boring kind of parents, honestly. And with the 7 of Cups in reverse as well, like the 7 of Cups is about illusions and not knowing what's going to happen. So to have that in reverse with this, it kind of gives me that feeling of like, you know how children are like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, but every day is an adventure because I don't understand consequences yet. I feel like you were forced to grow up way too early. You were forced to abandon that childlike sense of wonder at a very young age. But let's go ahead and see the River card from the book. The River. There is a reason so many rituals of change and rebirth take place in the river. It is forgiveness embodied in physical form. Without asking anything in return, the river washes away what is no longer necessary, smoothing over sharp edges and accepting all our mistakes and grievances. Once we step in, we are no longer in control. The river carries us farther down the stream of transformation than we planned to go. Once the tears have passed, we see ourselves as we haven't before, with a little more lightness, grace, and fluidity. When light, acceptance, grace, reflection, forgiveness. When dark, torment of emotions, flooding, overwhelm. One thing that really stuck out to me was the idea of not being in control. And it feels like whoever this person is, they definitely had the power in this dynamic. Again, I'm really getting that parent-child dynamic. Like, this could be a toxic parent who was primarily in charge of caring for you, and they did their best to destroy your dreams. And because they were in control in that situation, they were the one who held the power because they were the adult in that situation. You had no choice but to believe them, but to believe that they were right, that they knew best. And it may be something that you're still working on forgiving yourself for. But what did they do? We have the Ace of Coins in reverse, clarified by the Magician. And we have the Seven of Swords in reverse, clarified by the Knight of Wands. What did they do to you? This is someone who did not give you what you needed at the time. They did not care for your desires. They did not care for your needs. But they didn't even do it sneakily. You know how sometimes parents or caregivers who know that they are harming the people in their care will do it in a sneaky way. This person wore it like a badge of honor that they were neglecting you, that they were purposefully neglecting you. With the Magician here, this is someone who has everything they need and they are willfully doing the action of transmutation or alchemy or whatever. But in this context, it's like they were more than capable of fulfilling your needs, but they chose not to. With the Ace of Coins in reverse, like this is someone who refuses to invest in something, right? But the Son of Swords in reverse and the Knight of Wands, this is like they were loud and proud about it. They may have even bragged about how easy you were, how you didn't have any needs, and how you were such an easy kid to raise because you never asked for anything. Not understanding that the reason you never asked for anything is because you were never allowed to. Because you were never allowed to have needs, you know? You were never, I feel like if there's a sibling dynamic here, I feel like your siblings may have got all the attention, may have got what they needed, and you were almost neglected. Like you may have been a middle child or an older child, and then the littlest one gets all the attention eventually. Like that sort of dynamic. And yeah, I think their higher self is coming in to be like, you didn't imagine this. You didn't make this up so that you had a reason to hate your parent or your caregiver or whoever was in control of the situation. Because they will make you feel that way. They will go out of their way to say, oh, but you were such an easy child. Like if you needed anything, you never told me. How is it my fault? You know, like that kind of thing. So this is just to confirm to you that if you do feel like you've gone through this dynamic, because sometimes, we don't really remember for sure, and sometimes our memories can be hazy, especially if we grow up in an abusive environment. This is confirmation, like that was real. No one chooses to feel this way about their parents, about their caregivers. For you to feel this way means something traumatic happened. Because no one would willfully leave the safety of their guardian, So, wow, that's a heavy energy, pile number 4. So if that's something that resonates for you, let's take a look at a message from the higher self about why they did what they did. I just drew a blank there, sorry. We have the 5 of Wands and the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Why did they do what they did? Because they feel like they had to fight to be where they were at the time. and that they had earned the right to neglect you and focus selfishly on themselves. It feels like their life may not have been the easiest. And so when they did eventually find stability, they didn't really want to disrupt it by catering to someone else's needs and desires. They didn't want to be generous with what they had in case they went through that scarcity again. So if it's love, if they were finally surrounded by love, they didn't want to give it to a point where they wouldn't have any left for themselves, to a point where they felt neglected. There's some deep wounds here, I'm not gonna lie. There's some deep wounds with this person from their own early life, which, in situations like this is always the case. Where they felt like they had to fight for attention, like they were left out in the cold, and like no one was there for them. So why should they be there for anyone else, including their own ward, you know? I say ward and guardian because, lots of people watching this. But yeah, it feels like they were very conflicted within themselves already, but their only goal was to not feel scarcity ever again. Ever again. And anything you said or did that may have reminded them of that feeling, might have accidentally triggered that feeling, they would shut down immediately. So say now you said you wanted to go away to university and they didn't have university money. Immediately, you're not smart enough for university. You'll never be anything big. What's the point of putting all that money? Go get a job instead. That sort of thinking, So this is their higher self coming in to tell you, like, it was not you. You were just doing what kids do. And you deserved someone to watch out for you like every child deserves. And they are sorry that you didn't get to have that. And I just heard, I want to be clear that this is not an excuse. This is an explanation to help you maybe process this wound a lot better. Because once we understand why something happened, it can get easier to make peace with it. So next we have the Knight of Coins. Okay. And that's clarified by the Ace of Pentacles in reverse again. The Knight of Coins and the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Why did they do what they did? I think they didn't have control in how quickly their life progressed. They didn't feel like they had the choice to take their time and grow and evolve as a person and be who they wanted to be. And no one invested in them. And so I don't think they ever learned how to do that for people. They never learned how to be a caregiver. They would have wanted to take their time and grow and evolve. This could be a parent who had you very, very, very young. This could be a parent who was forced to grow up very young themselves, and then that cycle is just passed on to you. But this is someone who would have wished to move a lot slower, but they didn't get the chance to. No one allowed them the freedom. And so all they know of a parent-child dynamic is to rush you out of the house, make you as independent as possible, and get you out so that you don't ask for anything from them, which is not healthy. But again, it is not an excuse. It's an explanation to maybe help you process this a lot better. So why did they do what they did to you? Is because they were repeating cycles from their own life. And that's frustrating because why couldn't they have done the healing? Well, they didn't have the opportunity to. I think the higher self would definitely want to say that they would have tried. They would have tried to grow, to heal, to evolve before they had you, if they had the choice to do that. And it feels like that choice was taken away from them. They didn't have the time to mature enough in order to be in the role of a caregiver before it was thrust upon them. They may have had dreams and aspirations, and that was taken away from them. They didn't get the opportunity. And so they couldn't sympathize with someone who had dreams and aspirations and had the opportunity. So they took the opportunity away. They didn't have their needs met. So they didn't understand what it was like to have your needs met. And so when you had needs, they would refuse to meet them. And then eventually you stopped asking. And to them, that was like, oh, okay, so this is how people become independent. This is how people become adults. And I am truly so sorry that this happened to you, but the fact that you're here, the fact that you are looking for answers, that you are recognizing that something was not right, means you're already on your way to breaking the cycle and not passing it down to your own kids or, nieces, nephews, whoever comes after you. So, well done on that. There's almost like a sheepish congratulations coming from the higher self, where it's like, I couldn't do better. You're a better person than I'll ever be in this lifetime. That's, whoa, that is so many kinds of tragic. I'm so sorry, powerful. Okay, so, but what does that earth self think about the outcome of the situation? We have the Five of Cups in reverse, clarified by the Hermit. Okay, I think, weirdly enough, they think that, yeah, they didn't do as well as they could have or should have, but they also understand that, well, they also feel that they did the best that they could, and they, at least you still talk to them, at least you're still in contact, at least you didn't abandon them. This is very much still feeling like a very self-centered perspective on the situation. You may have tried to voice to them why you're hurt from your own childhood, and they may have taken that as they may have taken that personally and been like, well, but what about my feelings, and they think that because you're being the bigger person, they don't understand that you are being the bigger person here. To them, they think, oh, I did an excellent job, and that's why my child wants to hang around me. That's why this person wants to be in my life still. Because clearly they love me. Clearly what I did was wonderful, and I was the perfect parent. I was the perfect caregiver. And so even though there was pain in my past, I'm doing great. And with the Hermit, it's like, this person's journey moving forward is definitely going to be introspective. Like, they may be confined to a small space right now where they're almost forced to look inwards, because what's standing out to me is this star in this cage. It's supposed to be a lantern, but to me it feels like a star that is kind of confined, and it's like they see themselves as this bright glowing star, this beautiful vibrant personality that's been caged. And it's like, eventually they will get there. Eventually they will come to the realization of the many ways in which they have destroyed your confidence, the ways in which they've stolen your childhood from you. Eventually, yes, they will get there, but it may or may not even be in this lifetime, because it feels like that earth selves sees themselves as this holier than thou, almost, I look inwards, I'm very self-aware, but also I did an excellent job as a parent. It's like they only see what they want to see, and they don't really see the things that could hurt them. It's like their brain just shuts it out, as it has done your whole life. So to them, it's like they don't even comprehend. And so I think the reason that's coming up right now is to let you know that if you're expecting an apology, you're just wasting your time. That sounds harsh. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be harsh or rude. I'm just saying there's better things you could be doing with your time than waiting for an apology, than waiting for some way to mend this connection. There's much better things you could be doing, okay? So focus on that instead. So what's your advice for this situation? Let's see. We have mirror. Who or what is triggering you? Yeah. You may find that you've unconsciously picked up certain habits either from them or from being around them. Some things that you think about, some sort of downward spirals in your emotions, feelings of inadequacy, blah, blah, blah. All the great stuff that comes from childhood trauma. You may notice moving forward that there are certain things that trigger you. And I think your guides want you to make a note of this, make a physical note of things that trigger certain emotions in you, certain difficult emotions that feel like you will never process them. Because once you write them down, you can start to go back and find links between these triggers and things that this person said or did to you. And maybe that way you can heal those parts of that cycle. Because this definitely feels like an inherited cycle that you're tasked with breaking. And I think you're doing a fantastic job so far to even have been here this long to hear these things. So definitely pat yourself on the back for being a functional human being despite all this drama, and for being infinitely patient when you shouldn't have had to, and for feeling like your dreams had been destroyed, but persisting anyway. But definitely make a note of things you notice in yourself that would have bothered you if this person did it, because those are things that you're carrying forward and we don't want to do that. Okay, so you got 2 animal spirit cards, which was interesting. None of the other piles did, but let's see. We have pig spirit, use your mind wisely. And we have peacock spirit in the reverse, let it shine. I'll just quickly go through the pig spirit card, I think. Oh, that's interesting. There's a 46 and 47. This deck has been shuffled millions of times. It's interesting that they both came out. Use your mind wisely. It feels like the way this person raised you has shaped your brain, has sort of molded your thought patterns. So definitely think about reprogramming your conscious and subconscious minds to think differently, because a lot of the times these programs that we carry forward get in our own way. And I think it's interesting that both of these came out, like this came out first and then this one, because it's like it's taking you a step back and in reverse. But I want to read the peacock spirit in reverse. Are you afraid of dancing with abandon because of what others might think? Do you think you may be punished if you shine too brightly? Have you been conditioned to expect to be heard if you show yourself fully to the world? Maybe not everyone will celebrate your beautiful radiance when you shine. That is okay. Peacock Spirit is here to remind you that while others may resist celebrating the beauty within them, although they may contract while you expand and shake your tail feathers, smile and keep dancing anyway. Spirit loves you so much and wants you to enjoy the dance and shine your light. That's literally like, it feels like a summary of the entire reading. It's like, yes, you may have felt like your wings have been clipped, but you have to understand that that thought pattern comes from a child who depended on this person for survival. You no longer depend on them for survival. So let's start unlearning some of those habits, right? It's heavy work, but I promise you it's worth it, powerful. So that's your reading for today. I really hope it helped and it brought you some support and clarity. If it did, please remember to like and subscribe. Comment below how this resonated for you. I feel for you, you guys. I'm sending you so much love and support because this is a difficult situation. So well done on making it this far. I am immensely proud of you, okay? But yeah, if this resonated and if you enjoyed it and would like to support my work, I have a link to my PayPal tip jar in the description. It would help out immensely. But in either case, thank you so much for being here and sharing your energy with me and letting me do this reading for you. I truly, truly hope it helped. You can stick around to the outro for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Pile number 5. Hello, welcome. You're my first ever pile number 5. I apologize in advance if I sound a little bit hoarse. I've been talking for over 2 hours straight. But welcome. If you guys picked the citrine crystal, then this is your reading all about an apology that you are owed. So I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled your cards. These cards over here will tell us who this person is and what they've done to you. You can use this as either confirmation for the person you have in mind, or if you don't have anyone in mind, this could be a description of this person and you can see if that resonates with someone who has been in your life. With these cards here, we'll take a look at their higher self's explanation about why they acted the way that they acted. And then we'll look at how their human self looks at the outcome of the situation, of how things turned out, what is their perspective on it. And then finally, we'll take a look at some advice for you in the situation moving forward. All right, without much further ado, let's dive in. Who is this person? We have the 6 of Coins, clarified by the Sun. Interesting. And the archetype card here is the fault line. Interesting. Who is this person? This person is someone that has always been a constant presence in your life, that has always been generous to you, has been so giving and so kind. And then suddenly they did something, like out of nowhere, suddenly things fell apart. It feels like this doesn't feel like someone who's, been toxic forever and then you eventually break and walk away from them. This feels like someone who has truly, truly always done their best by you, but then something shifted and it's like with this fault line, I want to read this from the book. I've read them all from the book, but this one especially. This is card 49. Sorry, it's just I'm not the best with Roman numbers. The fault line. Imagine walking across a frozen lake that begins to crack before your eyes. No matter how optimistic and brave you might be, panic ensues. You become fearful and tense and long for stable ground. Such is the energy of the fault line. This card comes as a potent warning not to deny the shakiness that's afoot. It's much better to be prepared for change than to walk along the fault line pretending all is well. Redefining reality, breaking open, precariousness, pretending delusion. It doesn't feel like delusion though. It truly feels like something big happened that kind of rocked your world, rocked this connection as well. But something that was out of both your control. Interesting. What happened here? Because in all the other readings, it's clearly like one person hurting the other, but here it feels like it's no one's fault. We have the Six of Swords in reverse, clarified by the Hierophant in reverse. And we have the Page of Swords in reverse, clarified by the Three of Wands. Okay, so I'm just spitballing here. Is this a connection that had to fall apart because of distance? Like, this was a connection that was really wonderful and you truly did care about each other, but then someone was sort of forced to move away from the other, and it's like the connection didn't survive the test of time. Because with this fault line here, it's almost making me feel like ground that is split into two, like Pangea. Like, you know how we were all one continent and then it was split by the water, and now we have several different continents. It kind of feels like that. Like, you were solid and this was such a beautiful connection. It could very well be romantic, but it could also be friendly. But it feels like something major happened and one person had to move far, far away from the other. And as a result, this connection just did not stand the test of time. It's do you know what it's giving? It's giving High School Musical 3, where Troy and Gabriella end up going to different colleges, and then they do that whole... Well, it's not 3, is it 4? Was there a 4? I don't know. It was the final one where they all go to college, and then they had this whole thing about how we won't see each other anymore, but I'm sure we'll make it work. And it feels like that's kind of how this started with the sun, this optimism. But then with the Six of Swords in reverse, suddenly things got really turbulent. And with the Hierophant in reverse, it's like, what was the tradition for you guys as a couple, or, you know, as a unit? It was kind of upended. And with the Page of Swords in reverse, like, there was no sense, like, there was no calculated move on anyone's part for this to happen. It just happened. The Three of Wands usually makes me think of moving away, moving far, far away, looking out into the horizon and just moving away from home. So it feels like this connection was so beautiful and so powerful, and then either they moved away or you moved away. It's more likely that they moved away since they are coming in with the apology, but see how it resonates. But in either case, they feel like they owe you an apology for the fact that this didn't work out. With all the other piles, I didn't necessarily feel like that person was apologetic, but here it truly does feel like they are sorry. Like they want to say that they are sorry, that they wish things had worked out, that, you know, if they had any choice in the matter, they would have chosen to stay with you, but they had to leave. That is so upsetting. I'm so sorry you're going through this, pile 5, because this feels like a genuinely beautiful soul. and someone that you would want to have in your life, but it's like you just can't. That doesn't mean it might not, happen again in the future, but for now it feels like that's what's going on. But let's see the higher self's understanding of why this happened. We have the Seven of Coins, clarified by the Queen of Wands. Okay, this is a strange interpretation of it, but go with me here, bear with me. It feels like, according to their higher self, you guys met way too soon. Like, you weren't supposed to meet quite yet, because with the Seven of Coins, this is someone who is sowing their seeds that will one day reap. And it almost feels like the difference between the Three and the Queen of Wands, where it's like, this is when it was supposed to flower. Like, you see the sunflower here, whereas here the land is barren. And here there's like lots of fruit as well. Like, it feels like this isn't them explaining, this isn't the higher self explaining why they did something. It feels more like the higher self explaining the whole divine plan aspect of it all. It feels like you were not even necessarily supposed to meet until you had both reached a much more evolved state, but it feels like you may have met very, very young, and you were just not, you were not ready yet. And so the universe had to push you apart onto your own individual paths. I truly do feel like you will cross paths again in the future, and then it will be good timing. But I don't want to give anyone any false hopes, like, I'm sorry, like, I don't like doing that. I don't like making predictions like that, especially in a situation that feels so sad right now. But it truly does feel like you were not quite meant to meet until much later, maybe until after this separation is finished. And we have the Magician in reverse, clarified by the Chariot. Yep. So the Chariot is like moving extremely fast. The Magician is someone who has everything they need in order to manifest for the highest good. So to have this in reverse clarified by the Chariot, it does feel like it wasn't there yet. It was like the situation was half baked, but for some reason you ran into each other. I don't understand. How could this have happened? Hmm. Well, maybe it was meant to happen this way, but the point is, neither of you right now are grown enough, and I don't mean that in a sense of you're immature, but in the sense of evolved in your individual journeys enough for this relationship to reach its maximum potential. So you were if you were to stay together right now, this is the only version of yourselves you would ever know in this lifetime. And it feels like for the both of you, your own individual journeys are meant to be so vastly enriching, so vastly nourishing, that the only way to make sure that you achieve your individual potentials in this lifetime was to separate the two of you. It could very well be that there's like you it could very well be that the two of you, your dynamic was very like enabling each other, where it's like, yeah, hun, you're completely right, the other person was wrong. Or, you never seeing or acknowledging each other's darkness, each other's shadows, or bringing up any conflict. It's like you both sacrificed for each other and almost lost yourselves in each other. And that's unhealthy. Even though it doesn't feel unhealthy at the time, it just doesn't leave room for growth and exploration as individuals who then come together and bring something to the table. So it feels like you had to be separated so you could recognize these things within yourself. And then maybe eventually, if you still align after you've done your growing, maybe the universe will bring you back together. You never know. But for now, it is more important that you grow and evolve as individuals. As heartbreaking as it is, this is very, very important. And as lonely as it may feel, and it will feel, this is more important than having a cute coupley life together right now. You are meant to evolve into bigger, better, more powerful versions of yourselves. And that would not have been possible if you simply enabled each other and said or agreed with each other, never disagreed, never had any conflicts, never pushed each other to change. It feels like the reason this feels like such a beautiful connection to you right now is because this may be the one person that never asked you to be someone you were not. And that is beautiful. But the flip side of it is they also never really pushed you to evolve, and you may have been the same kind of person for them. And evolution is the name of the game on this planet. It's why we come here. It's why species stand the test of time. It's because we evolve and grow. And I think the higher self is really here to offer an explanation from the perspective of the universe. And that is to let you know that it wasn't anyone's fault on the earthly realm, but it's more that your individual journeys right now require separation so that you can be bigger, better people. And then maybe when you come back, if you align still again, then you can get back together. And if you don't align, there will be people out there who are better aligned for you, but that's something you don't need to worry about right now. This feels like very young love. It feels like one of your first true heartbreaks, and I am sorry you're going through that. Truly, I am. It is not easy. It is very rough. And I know this is not consolation, but understand that there is a bigger picture unfolding that you don't quite see yet, that maybe one day you will. But let's take a look at how their human self sees the outcome. What is their perspective of the outcome? We have the Page of Cups. Oh, okay. And the Ten of Swords in reverse. To them, this is not the end of the story for the two of you. With the Page of Cups, especially in this deck, you see this red string. That's the string of fate. To them, you are destined to be together and you will meet again. Like, that's what they see. Because with the Ten of Swords in reverse, the Ten of Swords upright is the end of the line for this person. They have succumbed to all these swords in their back and they have given up and there is nothing further. Have this in reverse. To your person, this is truly not the end of the line. It is a separation, but to them it very much seems temporary. Even if they may not have let on that that's how they feel, in their heart of hearts, they truly do feel like you are fated to meet again. You are fated to be together again and to be in love again. So, surprisingly enough, they're actually feeling weirdly optimistic about it. Like, they are upset, don't get me wrong. They are very, very hurt. They're almost hurting as much as you are. Like, look at all these 10 swords in their back. But they also, it feels like they also see they also see the importance of this. They may be a little more spiritual than you are, even if they don't seem like it, like their understanding of it may be different, but to them, it's like they're at peace knowing that you will be together again. That this is just a temporary setback, and temporary is a relative term, but you know what I mean. It may take years, but you will come back. You will, and you will be together again in that mind. That's how they see the situation. So if you're worried about, oh, will this person hate me? Will they forget me? At the moment, you're very much on their mind still. You're very much part of their plan still. And they may have even mentioned this to you, like, hey, I'll come back. Don't worry about it. You're very much part of their vision for the future. That's how their human self is processing the situation. Okay, so the point is to let go and allow the story to unfold the way it will. Because if this was a romance movie, like a rom-com, this would be the part where the main characters are separated and then they learn things about themselves and each other, and then they come back together at the end. This is that bit where you are separated, okay? So what's the advice for you going forward? We have Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. There you go. This is you laying the foundation for a much bigger, better relationship in the future. Whether or not it's with this person is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you allow the universe to take you where it will, because that's what's important here. Think of it this way: the sooner you let yourself grow and evolve as an individual, the sooner you'll be aligned to them again, if that's what's meant to be, or to your true divine partner. So the sooner you can let go of this past, when I say past, I mean, I don't mean like let go of the relationship, but this idea of what this relationship should be like, the sooner you can let go of it, the sooner you can align with love again. And we have turtle spirit, slow and steady wins the race. There we go. Yeah. This is just a slowing down. That's number 62, if that means anything to you. But I'll read that from the book. Turtle spirit arrives to remind you that when you do what you need to do, putting one foot in front of the other and trusting that you will see your intentions manifest in perfect timing, your prosperity and love will grow exponentially. Now is not the time to rush around trying to force matters. Move slowly, perhaps even so slowly that it almost feels as if you are not moving at all. This may be a time to crawl before walking. Take your time to align to Turtle Spirit's place as you contemplate this road you are on, doing what you need to do in this small moment that will soon pass. True love and true success comes with patience, says Turtle Spirit. Focus on the now and the next step will be clear. That's like, they said it better than I ever will. Focus on the now and the next step will reveal itself. Okay, so Pile 5, that is your reading for today. I hope it helped. I hope it brought you some support and clarity. If it did, then please remember to like and subscribe. Comment below how this resonated for you. If you enjoyed this and it was truly healing, then you can tip me. I have a link to my PayPal tip jar in the video description. Thank you so much for your support. But in either case, thank you so much for being here and spending some time with me and sharing your energy and letting me do this reading for you. I truly, truly hope it helped. I promise you things will get easier from this point forward. And yeah, stick around to the outro just after this for another reading on my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.